Everybody, it's Christine. Welcome back to my channel. I was going to do a Friday reads last week, and then I just didn't. Kind of tired. My husband was working next door on the garage, so the nail gun was going on all day. So it was kind of hard to do. So I finished 3 books. The first book is McKenna's Promise by Elizabeth Lane. It's a historical romance. It's a standalone, thank God, because I don't think I'd continue on with the series. Literally, there was a shotgun wedding at the beginning. She pretty much, she was 16, I think. She's seen this guy that she had a crush on, and he was in the lake skinny dipping. So she undressed and they had some fun, and guess what happened? So yeah, she got pregnant. They had a shotgun wedding. He went to Africa to hunt ivory because he wanted to make money because she was for money, and that sort of thing. And then you find out later why he didn't hunt the ivory, which is a good thing. The abuse that goes on with the elephants just to get that ivory is wrong. But she wants a divorce because she wants to marry an elderly man who will take care of her because he is sending money to her for the child, and she's putting it all away for the child. She won't use any of it for herself. And I actually think that's Alana. Oh, no, it's my phone. Yeah, my phone died. So anyways, sorry about that. So she brings her 4-year-old daughter to Africa, leaves it with the family she's met, and I knew what was coming. The family that she leaves it with, they had gotten this bodyguard from a slave trader who got arrested. They got his bodyguard. Big warning flags right there. And her daughter gets kidnapped, because she's a blonde, blonde-haired, blue-eyed child. And because I'm not doing a very good job, the mother decides to go to the camp where her husband is to sign the divorce papers, but leaves her daughter with this family and it's kidnapped. So they find out and they go on this chase to get the daughter. It sounds really good. Not so much. She just irked me, like, to no end. She kind of presented herself as the victim sometimes, and it was just, and there's no contact between them for 4 years, and then I don't know, the story irked me. It was dry and dull, and it was just, the main book was them walking to find the kidnappers. The ending was okay, but it was just, I don't know, some of it was, I wouldn't say surreal, but a little over the top. Oh, that's what it was. She kept flying, like, wanting to do stuff and thinking that she would not be hurt. This would not happen to her. They're from Scotland. They're going to Africa in the 1890s. She doesn't think that the elephants that she came across would hurt her. Meanwhile, they were going to. The rhino and baby that she came across would hurt her, and they were going to. He told her not to move because they had come up to this tribe, and he knew that this tribe was killing any foreigners or anybody associated with foreigners, because their medicine men had told them that in order for the rains to come, because they were late, all foreigners had to be killed. So I'm me, so I will talk to them. And really, you go to this country that's wild and barren, and you think that nothing's going to happen to you because you're you? No. So I think I ended up giving it 2.75. I rounded it up to 3, I think. But yeah, this will be going to somebody else. If you didn't know, I pass along my books to other people because, shelves are scarce. So then I finished The Doctor's Meant to Be Married by Janice Lynn, and yeah. Back when she was 17, almost 18, and he, I think, was 22-ish. She went to see her brother on spring break, and she met up with him, and she came on to him, and she kissed him, and that was it. They didn't talk again after that because that night or 2 or 3 nights later, his fiancée crashed her car and died and took the unborn baby with them. So he was going to break up with her to be with her as soon as she turned 18, but he had all this guilt because him and his fiancée got into an argument and she died. So he thinks it's because of him. The problem I had with this was he was willing to drop his fiancée at a moment's notice because she stepped in. And I mean, as soon as he seen her, that was it. Done. You find out later that his feelings for his fiancée were because they had been together since they were like 10 years old. That yes, he loved her, but he wasn't in love with her. But still, he was going to drop his fiancée for her. So I had a problem with that. And then it wasn't so much the book, it was her parents. She was born with scoliosis, and her parents are two highfalutin medical doctors that are on panels and stuff like this, and so her and her brother are both doctors, and her parents are both doctors, and they required perfect children. So the brother was perfect. She was born with scoliosis. So they forced her to have all these operations to fix her scoliosis. Okay, fine. She had to wear a brace for her, entire growing years. Fine. But when it came to getting rid of the scars because she was no longer perfect, she said, no, I've had enough. I'm fine with my scars. I don't need them. They're on her back. And her parents called her ungrateful and threatened to institutionalize her because she would not get her scars removed. So she pretty much stopped talking to her parents after that. Come on, really? So, yeah. And then, throughout the course of the event of the book, he doesn't want anything to do with her. He wants her, but he doesn't want anything to do with her. She wants him, but she doesn't understand why he doesn't want anything to do with her. And so, yeah, I gave it a 3, I think. I never look. I finished this one this morning, so I know I gave it a 3. And it's Inside the Mind of a Teen Killer by Phil Chalmers. And I have some conflicting thoughts on it. He does go through little instances of teen killers and why they killed. And he says music is a contributor. Yes, but no. I listen to the majority of these bands that they talk about, and I'm sorry, I don't go killing anybody. I've suffered from depression and listened to this music, and I didn't go out and kill anybody when I was a teenager, so I have a problem with that. He also says, I don't know if I marked it. Anyways, that only 2 certain people or types of people should be able to carry concealed weapons: law enforcement and trained civilians. No. I really have a hard time with that. We don't really have carry concealed up here in Canada that I know of. We allow hunting rifles. I mean, there are guns here, but the majority of them are hunting rifles or illegally gotten. But we do have shootings, but we don't have them like the States. And he says that as long as people are trained properly on how to administer them, keep them, then you should be able to carry a concealed weapon. No, concealed weapons are, they could be stolen off your body, like in a fight, and things go wrong. The people that are carrying them could be pissed off at somebody and just pull one out and shoot somebody because they're pissed off. Like, no. And regardless if you have rifles, pistols, whatever, kids will find a way to get them. So being trained has nothing to do with it. So I personally think that the only people who should have them is law enforcement. But again, like I said, we have hunting rifles up here, and they're predominantly used for hunting. There was a murder in this city, and it was done with knives. And it was the majority of murders that happen in this city happen between people who know each other, and it's usually over drugs. So what I think should happen is harder and punishment, because the murder that happened here that I'm talking about, the guy was two or three people did it. 3 people. They killed him. Well, they beat him first. They killed him. They decapitated and dismembered him. Parts of his body were found in Michigan in the dump, and parts of his body, because if you didn't know, I live in a border town, and parts of his body were found all around the city. These guys, the longest term that one of them got was 2 years less a day. And the reason being was because he was Native American. So that just pretty much said that if you claim that you're Native American, and I mean he was fully Native. I'm fully Native, you wouldn't know. I'm not fully Native. I'm part Native, but you'd never know it because I was white. I'm white. But he was fully Native. And so that basically, and he was higher than a kite. And they said, well, he was on drugs and he's Native, so he doesn't get that much time. The other guy, I think, got 18 months, and another was let off for time served. And they were only in jail for like 2 years pending trial. Come on, like harsher penalties is what's needed. And I mean, teens who are 18 years old, they know better. They know right from wrong. My 11-year-old knows that guns are bad, and guns will kill, and you got to train. You got to teach your kids, and that's one of the other things that he does say, that TV is not your babysitter. Video games are not your babysitter. And like I had said, my daughter is on her phone, but she's usually talking to friends. And my son has a limited access to technology because we were finding that he was getting so addicted to the technology that everything else was going right out the window. So we do limit him, and we do watch the games he plays. And he also said that, go to church and that. Well, I did when I was a kid, and my husband has some issues with religion as well because of his experiences as a kid. But we were married in church. We have gone to church. I'm Anglican, if you wanted to know. But I can't sit in the wooden pews for an hour because of my back. And that's why I don't go anymore. Like, I have a Bible sitting right here. So they aren't exposed to the religion like we were when we were kids, so they don't have the background, and they took the religion out of schools, and that's where I have a problem too. That this is just my feeling. We were brought up in our school system, it was pretty much just live by the 10 Commandments, which is what my religion is pretty much as well. Live by the 10 Commandments, and so be nice to people, don't steal, don't kill, those simple 10 rules of life. So I don't mean anybody else's religion is bad. But in our school system, we had an hour a week of religion. That's it. And we didn't have as much crime back then. And I think when they started taking that out, that's when things started to go downhill. Just my opinion. Like, we do have Catholic schools here. They have religion classes all year long, every day. And then we have the public schools, which is the Protestant, which is what I was. And we had it for an hour a week. That's not much to just learn the 10 Commandments. So yes, I do think the religion is a part of it, but I don't think the overzealous overbearing, down your throat, preachy stuff is the way to go either. And like I said, I didn't grow up with that, so I can only go by what I grew up with. So I think that, the lack of morals, in a sense, is what is the problem. It's not so much lack of religion, it's the lack of morals and lack of just basic common courtesy towards others. And my other thing before I put this away, because I gave it a 3 because of the mixed feelings, you need to teach your kids no. If you tell them no on a regular basis, as well as yes, like, you can't give in to them all the time. But if you tell them no, they will get in their heads that, okay, no is no. If you continually tell them yes, 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 and then when they're a teenager, you finally say no, well, yeah, that's going to be a problem. And we have somebody in our family who's done that. And her daughter is now, unfortunately, a fentanyl whore. And she has lost custody of her kids. She breaks into houses and steals because she was given everything on a silver platter, and then finally she was told no. And so, sorry. Her son is now turning out to be like that. He was the same person that told her daughter no, or yes, 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 and then no. It's her grandson. And he was always told yes, 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 yes. And then finally he said no. And now there's problems. And he's a teenager. So my kids know the word no. If they're told no, they know it's no. They also know that it'll be yes sometime, but right now it's no. And they also know that if they want something, they got to work for it. My daughter, like I said, I refuse to buy her a phone. I said, you want a phone? Get a job and get it yourself. And she did. So, that sort of thing. So, just my little rant. Another thing it had said was, have dinner with your kids all the time. We do. So, that's what I finished. Currently reading, this is the book I was talking about. It was The Keto Diet by Leanne Vogel. And I don't plan on going fully keto. But being a diabetic, I have to cut my carbs. And I try. Like I said, it's a finance issue right now. But we're starting to pick up and get there. This is a thick book, and it's very heavy. But there's meal plans in here, shopping lists. This half is recipes. And then that was meal plans. A little bit there. And then just basic info on certain things. So, yes, it's a big book and I'm taking it slow. But I want to absorb it. So, it doesn't even fit up there. There we go. And then I'm also reading Reflected in You by Sylvia Day, and I'm having issues with this one too. I'm now seeing correlations between this and 50 Shades, and I'm rethinking how I felt about 50 Shades. But this one is a little bit more, I wouldn't say S&M, misogynistic, and it's a little bit more possessive. I mean, one point he says, you will never have equality in this relationship. And she's like, okay. well, no, she was kind of like, excuse me, and then he had said something else, and she was like, okay. He has her followed. Because this is the second book, I can't really talk about it, but certain things he does are just irking me. Like, he has her followed. She's not allowed to talk to anybody else except her best friend Carrie, which is a guy, and even then he has issues with that. Um, so she. Sorry, I think my camera froze. So he kind of gets pissed off, but yeah, there are some things in here that I'm having problems with. I'm hoping it gets better or he sees the light, but I mean, he's telling her what she can and cannot do, who she can and cannot talk to, where she can and cannot go, and she's basically saying, well, okay, as long as I'm with you. I mean, me and my husband have a hard time being apart. We just, on May 29th, celebrated our 19th wedding anniversary. We've been together for 22 years. They've been together a month. Yeah, sorry, no. And me and my husband are, like, we don't argue. We don't fight. We don't do any of that stuff. We never have. So, I mean, being together for 22 years and having no arguments, that's saying something. They're arguing every time they see each other, and then she goes, okay, and they jump in bed. Not a healthy relationship at all, and I'm really hoping things get better. So, what am I going to pick up? I might pick up one of these three. I changed one of my books from my Triple RC challenge because there's no way I was going to be able to get through it at this time. So instead of reading a book with a flag on it, I chose to read a book with the flag colors of my flag, and that's red and white. So I might pick up The Royal Doctor's Bride by Jessica Matthews, and I can get through these in a day. Or I might pick up Emergency Single Dad, Mother Needed by Laura Idling, which I'll probably pick up and finish. Or I might pick up Lending a Paw by Laurie Cass. So those what I might be reading. And I have one book that I got on yesterday, in fact. Okay, little story though. Here in Canada, with at least Bell Canada anyways, for, cell phones, you get a 2-year plan. And after that 2-year plan, when you're finished paying it off, or after 2 years, you get a free upgrade of a phone, so you can upgrade your phone. So, like I had said, my daughter, I told her, you want a phone, you buy it yourself. She's on our plan, but that part of the bill is her responsibility. She wants the phone, she pays for it. Okay. Well, she bought her phone in July, the end of July last year. So she still has a year and 2 months left on this plan. Friday night, she dropped her phone in the toilet because it was in her back pocket. And it's an Apple phone. She doesn't like Samsung, and I don't like Apple. So they put it in a bag of rice for an hour. Yeah, no, that's not going to work. So it was working, but then it died yesterday. So, or that might have happened Saturday night. Yeah, it happened Saturday night. No, Friday. It was Friday. Anyways, she came home Saturday night and told me, and then it died yesterday. So, the upgrade to her phone, either we added a second line, which was not going to happen. We're not paying for a fourth line when we don't need it. Or else she had to buy the phone outright, which she didn't have the money for that because she likes to spend her money. She does put some away, but she likes to spend. She's a teenager. So my phone is 3 years old. So I already had the free upgrade available to me, but because my phone still works, I've had no problems with it. I don't need to upgrade it. That's the way I am. If I don't need to upgrade, I won't. So she got my free upgrade. So I told her, if anything happens to my phone, you're paying for my phone. And if anything happens to her phone, she's shit out of luck. So I made her buy me a coloring book because she got my free upgrade. So like I said, if anything happens to each of our phones, one of us is screwed. And since I use mine for business and she uses hers for friends, yeah. So I made her buy me Ivy and the Inky Butterfly. So I haven't, since the last time I've like made videos, I have not colored at all. I picked it up on this weekend just because I needed a break. So I've been getting back into it. And I'm going to try and start incorporating more time every day or at least every week to color because I need something else. I've been wanting to cross stitch too, but there again, I need some fabric. I have some, but not for what I want to do. So, yeah. But, oh, and it's by Joanna Basford, if you didn't know. Most people do. I have a couple of favorite artists that I don't have any other books for because I just can't afford it. But I absolutely love this picture. But yeah, so that is it. If you're still here, thank you so much. And I will talk to you later. Bye.